October 17th, 1941, 3:42 a.m. Kharkov, Ukrainian SSR. The air raid sirens begin as a low, wounded howl, then rise into something almost human. Inside Factory No. 183. The sound cuts through steel, oil, and exhaustion. Red bulbs flicker on overhead. Somewhere beyond the walls, German Heinkel bombers are already crossing the city limits. You can feel them before you hear them, a vibration in the concrete floor, a tremor in the ribs. Sergei Ivanovich Zorin freezes mid-step. He is 34 years old, a senior electrical engineer. His hands smell permanently of copper and grease. In front of him stands a half-disassembled milling machine, its wiring exposed like veins. The T-34 tank chassis it was shaping sits unfinished, raw steel catching the red emergency light. Another siren blast. Closer now. "Comrades!" Someone shouts from the far end of the hall. "Bombers inbound!" Men and women scatter not toward exits, but toward machines. Covers are thrown over lathes. Blueprints are yanked from walls. A young woman climbs onto a gantry crane to release the lock. Everyone knows what comes next. Not evacuation. Dismantling. Zorin looks at the factory floor, 30,000 square meters of machines, cables, switchboards, transformers. Years of careful optimization. Years of knowing exactly which circuit feeds, which press, which line, can be overloaded for 12 minutes without blowing. All of it has to be torn out. Now, the party order came 3 days ago. Kharkov must not fall intact. If October 17th, 1941, 6:11 a.m. Kharkov rail yard. Steam hisses from the locomotive like a living thing in pain. The sky is the color of wet ash, somewhere behind the clouds. Engines drone distant now, but not gone. The Luftwaffe will return. Everyone knows it. Sergei Zorin stands on the gravel between the rails, clutching a rolled bundle of diagrams tied with twine. They are not official blueprints. They are something else entirely, field sketches, grease pencil logic, half-remembered load calculations, scribbled at 4 a.m. while bombs walked across the city. They are the only thing standing between production and collapse. Flat cars stretch out of sight, loaded with machine tools wrapped in tarpaulins, lathes, presses, milling machines. Each one tagged, numbered, cursed at, prayed over. Women climb down from rail car ladders with hands shaking from cold and fatigue. Men slam doors shut with sledgehammers because locks have frozen. Someone yells, "Last call for electrical!" Zorin looks back once toward the factory skyline. Smoke curls from a shattered roof. The red glow of small fires flickers in broken windows. Factory No. 183 is already dying behind him. He boards the train. Inside the boxcar, it smells like oil, wet wool, and fear. Engineers huddle with draftsmen. Fitters sit on crates, heads against knees. Nobody talks. Talking wastes oxygen. The train lurches, then gains momentum. Kharkov slides away. Only then does the weight of it hit. They are carrying a tank factory. November 18th, 1941. Nizhny Tagil, 2:27 a.m. The factory is alive, but unevenly so. Lathes spin in pockets of light. Welding arcs flash like distant lightning. The smell of hot metal mixes with coal, smoke, and sweat. The production line exists now, at least in fragments. Hull plates are being cut. Turret rings are stacked like enormous coins. For the first time since Kharkov, something resembling progress breathes in the cold air. But at the center of the floor sits the problem. A German-built horizontal boring mill captured years earlier, upgraded endlessly since. It is the only machine capable of machining the T-34's massive turret ring to tolerance at scale. Without it, everything bottlenecks. Tanks without turrets pile up like headless statues. Zoran stands in front of it, hands shoved into his coat, watching frost creep along the machine's frame. "This one draws too much," the foreman says quietly. He doesn't need to explain. When they tried to power it earlier, the lights dimmed across the entire factory. Motors stuttered. The transformer screamed. Another 10 seconds, and they would have blown the grid, lost everything. The boring mill is a predator in a room full of scavengers. Zoran kneels and opens the access panel. Inside, the wiring is a museum of industrial evolution, original German schematics layered with Soviet modifications, emergency wartime fixes, copper scavenged from God knows where. He closes his eyes and rebuilds it in his mind. Voltage. Phase. Load. December 6th, 1941. Nizhny Tagil. The temperature inside the factory never rises above freezing. Breath hangs in the air like smoke. Tools bite bare skin. Oil congeals unless kept moving. Men and women work wrapped in layers of stolen army coats. Fingers numb, faces cracked and raw. The machines do not care. They demand power, alignment, obedience. The pulsing system Zoran designed keeps the plant alive, but barely. Every cycle is a gamble. Every surge risks tripping breakers that don't exist anymore because they were bypassed weeks ago. The factory floor moves in strange rhythms now. Silence, roar, silence again. Workers have learned to time their movements to it, stepping back during surges, rushing in during lulls. It is not safe. It is not sustainable. And Moscow has noticed. A black gas sedan crunches over frozen gravel and stops outside the plant. From it emerges Commissar Viktor Andreevich Sokolov, leather coat, fur hat, eyes sharp as cut glass. He is not here to observe. He is here to enforce. Inside the director's office, frost creeps along the window frames. Zoran stands across the desk from Sokolov, his diagrams spread out like a confession. "You are behind schedule," Sokolov says calmly. "By a factor of 3. Zoran nods. "Yes. Your explanation?" Zoran points to the charts. Load curves, temperature effects, power losses. This factory was not designed for these machines. We are exceeding theoretical limits already. Sokolov studies him. Theory does not win. February 3rd, 1942, Nizhny Tagil. 7:16 a.m. Zoran hasn't taken off his boots in 3 days. They are stiff with ice and oil, laces frozen into useless knots. His coat smells of smoke and metal. When he finally sits, it is only because his legs stop responding, not because he allows himself rest. The factory is still running on borrowed power. Locomotive generators cough and groan in the yard, fed with coal scraped together from anywhere it can be found. Crews rotate constantly, shoveling, monitoring, praying the bearings hold. The noise never stops. Even in sleep, Zoran hears it. Moscow sends another delegation. This one is different. No leather coats, no threats. 2 men in plain gray coats arrive quietly, accompanied by a military driver who does not leave the car. They introduce themselves only by rank. One of them carries a slim folder stamped GKO, State Defense Committee. They tour the factory in silence. They see the bypassed safeties, the exposed cabling, the machines running far beyond design limits. They see workers asleep on warm steel plates, boots still on, faces gray with exhaustion. At the boring mill, one of the men finally speaks. This machine should not be running. Zoran answers honestly. Neither should the front. But it is. The man studies him. Do you know how many factories are being evacuated right now? Yes. Do you know how many have failed to restart? Zoran hesitates. No. Most. The word lands like a blow. The man opens the folder. Inside, a